actively searching for a home as a home buyer.
Now, this is one of my favorite things. We're shopping. I love shopping. And it's not just for new shoes or new shirts or anything like that. We're shopping. So we want to kind of focus on, you've already gotten pre-approved. You're keeping your credit in the situation. You're not buying a car right now. We are shopping for a home. So we have to remember, we have to really unpack what we're doing at this point. So that's what this video is. Well, step one, we're going to talk about understanding what your pre-approval means and what you actually need to do based on what it's saying.
Exactly.
So your lender's estimates are going to be pretty much how much you can borrow. Definitely ask your lender for their max. Also ask them for your, where they think your sweet spot is. So know your numbers up front. And this is crucial, because if you're like, oh, I love this home, but it is more than you can afford, then we shouldn't even be looking at that kind of home. We should stick to our budget always.
Therefore, definitely need to stick to your budget and see, as my wife said, look at your pre-approval range. If you are, for example, qualified up to 350, we need to make sure that we don't go above that. And that's the main important message.
Now, we're going to really talk about things we're talking about with the house itself. But first, I think we need to do our introduction.
Let's hit it.
Hi, I'm Pinder. Welcome to our Healing Podcast.
And if this is your first time in our podcast and YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe and get notified.
Also, you call and text all the time at 252-327-3357. We love talking to you. Don't be shy. Also, grab our home buyer's guide and home seller's guide in the description below. Now let's talk about fun things that I love talking about.
The second thing that we wanted to talk really is active searching for home. And the first item is prioritizing your home features.
Okay, which is what I was saying. So it's talking about the location, the size of the home, the type of neighborhoods that's important to you. We are now talking about houses and what is going to match your dreams, your desires, your hopes, and of course your needs. So, we have to prioritize where you want to be at this point. Do you want to be in these neighborhoods? Do you want to be in these neighborhoods? Maybe you never thought about these things. So we kind of have to prioritize the neighbor. Oh, that's the next one. Prioritize your neighborhood research, and then also prioritize the home features. You want to explain what I mean by that?
When we say neighborhood, really, you can drive either morning or evening, different times at that neighborhood and see if you like the atmosphere of that neighborhood, and also do some research. Go to the website of the government. As my wife said, you can look at the crime rate, and also look how far is from your job, how far is from the amenities that you wanted to be surrounded by, and also if you have kids, some activity for your kids. Therefore, these are super important.
And knowing what school districts. You kind of forgot the most important. I'm a mom, so I really care about what school districts I'm going to be having my kids zoned for. So I need to make sure my school district is number one priority for me as a mom. Now, other things we want to say about is I want to give you an online word of caution. I heard the CEO of Redfin talking about how everybody should click on his website and just click and schedule, and you just get the worst agents out there. So let me just kind of give you a little word of caution with this one. You can go onto the Zillow and Realtor.com, but if you click any button, they're going to share your information. You're going to get 2 or 3 lenders calling you, 2 or 3 realtors calling you at all hours, and then these people, if you engage, or if you start engaging with their lenders, it can mess with your entire pre-approval situation. So if you already are pre-approved, if somebody else starts running your credit and it's another hard inquiry, we had a lady who was pre-approved, we were ready to buy a home, and then she couldn't buy a home, the one she wanted, because she had interacted with these lenders and they were giving her different information that was false, and therefore, and by running her credit that information, she had too many hard inquiries, which affected her credit, which means she actually wasn't pre-approved the day we went to go make the offer, which does happen. Another thing I want to point out is if you start calling every realtor out there, you're going to get a bunch of phone calls, and not everybody's going to be in your best interest. They're looking to make $1, and they're also giving a lot of their money to Zillow, Realtor.com, or they're taking less from Redfin because they're just working as a salary, which means they don't always have your best interest in mind. So if you start saying, well, can we make a deal? The answer is probably they don't want to make a deal. So make sure what you're doing is for the best interest that you can get.
Exactly. The next thing is really safeguarding your financial health. This is super, super important. credit protection, minimize your credit inquiries. As my wife said, if you want to purchase a home, definitely don't go shop, don't go right away buy a car, or open a new credit card. This all is going to hit your credit card in the hard way, and then you are not going to be ready to take an action and apply for the home mortgage, which is the main thing that you wanted to do.
And let me tell you, those car purchases, I understand you want a new wheels and you want a new car, but interest rates on those are high at this moment, and I've seen it time after time after time. Vehicles be, oh, you bought a new car, now you can't buy a house. So don't be that person, which is at least one person every year.
Exactly.
Don't be that guy.
The next thing that we wanted to talk here is really home viewing checklist, which my wife actually prepared home viewing checklist for you that you can find in the link below. But first, let's talk about the exterior inspection, no?
Right, so even those pictures that you saw online, so we're going to look carefully at the roof, because we can't see the roof from the ground up. We can look at the aerial photos, the drone photos of the roof. So definitely let's start looking at the roof. When we are walking the house, we can look at the siding, and while I don't crawl in crawl spaces, we can kind of get a sense of the foundation from walking
inside
on
of the house, yeah.
So, I mean, definitely start looking for foundation. Cracks in the brick is never good, things like that. So we should look for it. What's another thing we should look for on the outside?
We're outside?
Yeah.
You can look at the AC units too from outside.
That's true.
And then some of them even you can take a peek just opening the crawl space if you don't want it to go there, and look at the ductwork and everything to see if there's insulation falling. These things you can do it very simple, no? That give you some ideas.
The other thing for me, I'm going to look for outside is look for areas where water might pool. I'm going to look at the gutters. I'm going to see where the water goes when it rains, and we're going to look around the house for any areas where that water might have stayed for a while, because if the water is staying near the house, this is very, very bad for your foundation. So we want to make sure the water has been moving all along, and so this is something we're looking for. Exactly.
The next thing is really interior inspection, which is a little bit different, no? But what the thing is, if the house is on the crawl space and you cannot go under the house, crawling under the house, what you can do is just walk on it at least, no? See if there is a soft spot in any four corners of each room that you go, and see if it is solid.
Another thing we're going to do is look at the walls for signs of cracking. Also the ceilings, we're looking for cracks, and we're also looking for water damage. So pay close attention. I saw this beautiful home last week. It was an older home, 200 years old, older home, beautiful. But there was definitely signs at some point that interior was, I was wondering about the stability of the home, because there was enough cracks in the walls to make me wonder. And sure, they had painted over the cracks, but the cracks were still there. So if the cracks are coming out after you're painting, maybe there is something to investigate. So we would need a structural engineer. Another big item inside of the house is the window, no?
First of all, you see that if the window is wooden or the vinyl. If it's double hung, make sure that you can definitely slide it up and down. You can open it, it closes easy or not. And also if it's not vinyl, see if there is any sign of damage, corrosion, no, in the wood. And definitely this is the things that you can just test it very easily.
Another thing we're going to look at is the age of the appliances. So we're going to, and I'm not talking, I mean, the oven is important and your dishwasher is important, but I'm also talking about the HVAC. I am talking about the hot water heater. I am talking about how those are, what are the conditions of those major appliances that cost money.
And remember that, of course, washer and dryer really is not in that list. Most of people, that is like a personal item. And next thing is assessing the electrical outlet and plumbing. Of course, if you are an electrician, that's perfect, no? But if you are not an electrician, what we should do?
We should still open up the electrical fuse box. Look at the fuse box. Is it one of those super old ones where it's twist off and it's circle and I'm twisting those knob? Or is it one of these where I switch it back and forth? And what is my voltage? Is it 55? Is it 30? Is it 15? All of this is going to tell us if it's new and needs updating or not. Also with plumbing, we can't look at the pipes, we can kind of understand what's going on with the plumbing fixtures and see, are they leaking by the sink? Are they leaking? so we can kind of look to see
And
for
if
problems.
if it's crawl space, definitely that's what the home inspector they do. They go under the house.
But we can
and
do
if
home
they-
inspector before an offer.
Exactly. The next thing is system checks, which is inquire the age of the AC that my wife already, any odor, no?
Odor, yeah.
Odor, like sometimes is the sign of the mold and mildew, no?
Right, so we're also going to turn on the HVAC and turn on the heat and the cold. So even if it's 28 degrees outside, we're going to put the AC on for a minute. And then we're also going to put the heat on for a minute just to see if it's working. Also, when we're in the bathrooms, we're going to look at the where the venting, the vents, and is there black stuff there? Because if there's black stuff, that's not a good sign at all. That's a sign of other mold. So I would just say we're going to use our eyes. We're also going to use our nose if we smell something weird.
Exactly. Last thing really you wanted to look very carefully is the neighborhood evaluation. No, observe how the neighbors really their condition of the house, are they upkeeping with their property, the noise level. Anything that might estrange for you or not could be a red flag for you.
Right, so in actively searching for a home, there's other things we need to discuss, like listing agents versus buyer agents. If you're talking directly, you're like, oh, I just want to talk to the seller's agent. The seller's agent represents the seller. They're going to, and especially sometimes they even are the seller. So I would not share your opinions, share your negotiations with somebody who is not loyal to you. Because you might think, oh, maybe I'll just get a better deal if I go to this person. Well, maybe you're not going to get a better deal because
they have a fiduciary duty to the seller.
Right. And it could be a property management company. It could be something to where they all work together often. So I would just be aware of not going to the listing agent all the time. Another thing is a buyer's agent is making sure that they are working in your best interest. You're not just calling somebody who's just going to show you a house one time and then you've never heard from them again and never saw them. You want to be able to ask this person questions. Are they knowledgeable? Can they help you? So that goes back to making sure you have a great team.
Exactly. And then during the viewing of the house, definitely if you're working with the buyer agent, ask them a question. If they know anything about the property history, any repair or concern that they either observe or they have in writing from the documents that the other agent or seller agent submitted. Therefore, ask this question. And if you are curious about the property tax, which is going to be part of your home mortgage, ask those questions. Or utility costs, or if the house is in the flood zone, or the HOA, no? Mm-hmm. You need to ask this question up front and to get a good grasp of the understanding what you are dealing with.
So I would tell you when we're leaving a house, I would tell you should be rating that house 1 to 10. Just is this a house based on what you need, your overall impressions, your needs, your wants, your desires? And if you're going to do multiple properties that day, I would even name it. So I saw the White House in this neighborhood or whatever. And just that way you have some sort of visual reminder, also a number next to it. So I would rate it that when we are getting time to thinking about buying a home, you already say, well, these ones weren't good because these are my top ones. These are my highly rated ones. What are some tips?
The first tips that we wanted to look is focus on the structural integrity. Mm-hmm. No, like the houses that we were talking about, like the crawl space. Definitely make sure the house is the integrity of the structure is good, even with the house on the slab. The second thing is potential repairs. How much of repairs you think this house has, and also how well this house really meet your needs, no?
Absolutely. So you have to keep your own desires in check. Also document your vision, your photos. Take photos if you can. That way you can compare. You might need it for everything. So make sure you're taking notes. Take some photos for yourself. That way you can go back in your mind to say, this is what we were talking about that day. This is what I liked about it. Because you're going to need that type of stuff. What else? How else do I stay focused?
Stay focused basically is prioritizing your things. But my goal is really like if I'm a home.
No, you're not understanding. He didn't understand it. So let's just talk about, you might get dazzled by this amazing kitchen that you walked in, and you might be amazing, like, wow, this is so gorgeous. I want this. But honestly, that one thing, it might be in the wrong area and everything else on your list is completely off, but because it's so beautiful, you wanted to see it, now you're like, I love it. But then those are ones that you come to regret later because it doesn't meet your other needs. So it's not just cosmetic, because maybe that other house that needs a kitchen upgrade is way better for you in every other area except that kitchen. So just because that has a beautiful kitchen doesn't mean you can't make this other house a beautiful kitchen that fits, 9 out of the 10 needs that you said you needed. And needs are needs that you cannot avoid. So if you need to go to work, you need to make sure your kids are in the right area. These are needs that you're not going to negotiate on. So really, really don't get dazzled. Don't get distracted by the pretty house of the week if it doesn't meet your needs.
Exactly. And don't forget to call us at 252-327-3357. We love to help you, Alan Victoria. And don't forget to write us a comment and share with us your opinion and your thoughts. And see you in the next podcast and video.